Everyone always says that volleyball is so easy and that everyone can play it. They don't realize how much actually goes into it. There is so much more to volleyball than just bumping a net back and forth or bumping a volleyball back and forth over a net. After playing volleyball for 13 years and coaching for almost 4 years, I feel I know enough knowledge about volleyball to be able to teach you about it. I will discuss the different positions, ways to hit a volleyball, and how rotations work. The first thing to understand about volleyball is the different positions. People may think that there are only just 2 or 3 positions, but there are actually 8. A few are the same, but then again, they're also very different. This is why people think that there's just a few. There are 6 players allowed on the court at a time. 3 of the 6 will be in the front row. The front row players are able to jump and hit the ball over the net. The 3 front row positions are called left or outside hitter, middle, front, or right side, and the setter can also be in the front row and would be in the right front position. Instead of being a hitter, they will set to the 2 other hitters in the front row. There is the outside hitter who will be out here, and then the setter can set her high balls. She typically gets the most, and then when the other team is setting their right side, she'll block, and the middle will come over and block with her. When the other team is setting their middle position, she will drop back and play defense, and then when they're the other team setting their outside, she'll drop back right here and play back row. The other front row position would be middle front, and her main job is to block. So when the other team is setting over here, she comes over and blocks here. When they're setting the middle on the other side, she'll block here, and then when they set this side, she comes over and blocks here. And then she can also hit too. She typically is going to hit quicker sets, and her job is to pull their block and keep her distracted. The other front row position is the right side hitter. It's pretty much just the same as the outside, but on the opposite, and the setter will set back behind her head when she's hitting, and then she blocks when they set this side, and then she'll come and play defense when they set the middle, and the outside will come and block. There are also 3 positions, and actually technically 4 or 5 positions in the back row. There is the left back, the right back, and the middle back. And then the other 2 positions are the libero, and the setter can also be in the back row. So the left back's job would be when they set out here, she's going to drop back and then play defense, and she's going to get any balls that come in this area, and then she's also going to get the tips that come up here. When they set the middle, she's going to drop back again and then take the ones that are hit over here. And then when they set this side, she's going to drop back here, and then she'll get if they hit line or if they tip right here. That's her ball also. And then there is the left back or the right back, which will either be a right back passer or the setter. And the setter does the same thing. If they hit over here, she drops back and passes here or gets the tips. If they set middle, she'll drop back and get the hits there or the short tips here. And then if they set out here, then she drops back and she'll get the hits over here and then also the tips. And then if it's the setter in the back row, she'll pass up the first ball, and then the middle back will take it and set up the other players. And then there's also the libero. The libero is the person that will wear the different color jersey, and they typically play middle back, and then middle back gets all of this back here. Since all of those positions have different jobs, there are different ways for each of them to hit the ball. There is passing or bumping, it could be called, which is when the players put their arms out like this, and then they pass it on their forearms. And that's usually what any of the back row players do, typically. And then the setters can also pass and set it, and then the hitters can also pass it over the net. And then there's setting is where you put your hands over your head and set it with your fingertips. And then that's typically what the setter will do. And then the hitters can also set it over the net. And then there is hitting or spiking, and that's when you hit it with just one hand. And that's typically the front row hitters that are doing that, and then they want to hit it because the ball will go faster, and then it's harder for the other team to pass it. And then there's serving, which where you toss it up with one hand and hit it with the other. Now that you know the positions there are and how each position works, I'll explain how the players rotate. So that's what I have here, the numbers. The positions are numbered 1 through 6. This would be right back, right front, left back, and then middle back. And then they rotate in clockwise, so they'll rotate this way here. The players can actually switch positions too. So if this person that's over here is actually the outside hitter, after the server hits the ball, she can run over here, and then this person can run over there if they're the right side. They just have to make sure they're back in their spots the next time it's time to serve. There are 12 subs allowed per game, and when you do a sub, you have to stand in front of this 10-foot line here, about right here, so the scorekeepers can check your numbers. And you can only switch with this one person. So if number 12 and number 13 are subbing, number 14 wouldn't be able to switch with either of those people. And then there is the libero, and she doesn't have to sub in and out like the other people do in front of the 10-foot line. She has to be behind the 10-foot line. And she's the one wearing a different colored jersey. So before the whistle blows for the serve, she just has to run in and switch with the other player, and she can sub in and out as many times as possible. There's not a limit for her. She just has to sit out one rotation, and then it's typically when her person she's subbing for is serving. As you see, there is a lot to volleyball, more to volleyball than people may think. Volleyball is much more than just hitting a ball back and forth over a net. There are many positions, different hits, and tricky rotations. Like I said earlier, there is a lot more to volleyball than one thinks. After listening to this speech, I hope you are able to understand the game a little bit better. Thank you.